In global development, language matters. Using the right words can have a huge impact on how an issue is perceived by the public and by the communities involved. Within the spheres of human and women's rights especially, there's a growing trend to question how our choice of language can shape our understanding of an issue and impact social norms, with ongoing debates surrounding terms including honour crimes and female genital mutilation. Child marriage is another of those terms that some activists argue we need to replace. Marriages involving minors happen in almost every continent, and girls are disproportionately affected. Although child marriage refers to the marriage of those under the age of 18, girls can be as young as 5 or 6 years old and are often married to much older men, putting them at risk of violence and abuse and also impacting on their health and education. Campaign groups argue that such marriages contravene international agreements, hold back progress on broader development goals and represent a major human rights violation for the minors involved.
If you think about it, we're not going to be able to get every girl in school if girls are being pulled out to be married. We're not going to be able to make a big dent in maternal mortality if girls are being married off young and then under pressure to have children.
There are 3 closely related terms you're likely to come across in discussion of this practice: child, early, and forced marriage. They're often grouped together under a single banner, but they actually have slightly different meanings. Child marriage is defined as a marriage where one of the parties is under the age of 18. Early marriage is sometimes used instead because the legal threshold for childhood varies by country, and forced marriage takes place without the full and free consent of at least one party involved. The term child marriage is commonly used as shorthand, but some activists argue that it doesn't adequately capture the rights violations that are involved in this practice.
The term marriage is actually really very problematic because it suggests an official joyous occasion, whereas often for the child, it won't be. It will be a very frightening, possibly a very violent and a very disruptive experience. We need to find language to absolutely show people that it's not justified, and that's part then of the mental change and that you need to get, the societal change that you need to really stop it and to say, no, this isn't appropriate, it's nothing to do with marriage at all.
As a global partnership, the term child marriage is the one that has most sort of universal understanding and most universal acceptability around the world, that helps our members in the work that they're doing in different countries, in different contexts. You really have to think about what the objectives are of using certain terminology, what the audience is, and what you're trying to get out of that conversation.
In recent times, some people have started to describe child marriage as a form of modern slavery, while others argue that marrying a child to an adult is simply sexual abuse and should be described as such. But activists accept the difficulty in finding a new term and rolling it out into widespread use, and at the moment there aren't any commonly used alternatives. Ultimately, all activists agree that the most important thing is the work that's being done toward eliminating child marriage. Globally, the number of child marriages has been slowly declining. About 1 in 4 young women alive today were married as minors, compared to 1 in 3 in the early 1980s, according to UNICEF. But progress has been uneven, and with the global population growing, hundreds of millions of girls remain at risk. Should the global development community find a new term for child marriage? Join the debate and send us your ideas on Twitter or at devex.com.